My brother buried me alive. Not because he hated me. Because he wanted what was mine. The throne, the crown, the power that should have been mine by birthright. And for 3,000 years, I've watched him suffer the consequences of that choice. Because the curse I whispered with my last breath? It worked. My name is Amara Nabil. I'm 35 years old. I'm an Egyptologist at the Metropolitan Museum in New York. I've spent my entire adult life obsessed with ancient Egypt, the pyramids, the tombs, the curses. Everyone thinks it's just academic fascination. They're wrong. I'm obsessed because I remember. I remember being Princess Nefertari, daughter of Pharaoh Amenhotep, High Priestess of Isis, rightful heir to the throne of Egypt. I remember my younger brother poisoning me slowly over months. I remember being wrapped in linen while still conscious, feeling the resin seal my mouth shut, hearing the priests chant as they sealed my tomb. I remember dying in darkness, alone, betrayed by the person I loved most. And I remember the curse I laid on him with my final thoughts. A curse so powerful it followed his soul through every life he's lived since 1336 BCE. This is the story of how I discovered that curses are real. That betrayal echoes through lifetimes. That revenge can wait 3 millennia and still burn just as hot. And how I had to choose between destroying the soul of my ancient enemy, or saving the life of someone I love in this one. Let me start with how I remembered. Not gradually. Not through therapy or meditation. I remembered all at once, violently, in the basement of the Met, standing in front of an artifact that should not exist. It was 6 months ago. March 2024. I was cataloging a new acquisition from a private collection. Objects recovered from an illegal dig near Luxor. Most of it was forgery. Tourist scams. But then I opened a small cedar box, and my hands started shaking. Inside was a ushabti, a small figurine meant to serve the dead in the afterlife. Nothing unusual about that. We have thousands. But this one was different. It was carved from black granite. Expensive, royal quality, and on the base, in hieroglyphs almost too small to read, was a name. Nefertari, princess, priestess, forgotten. The forgotten part was wrong. Princesses weren't forgotten, unless they were erased. Unless someone wanted them wiped from history. I touched the figurine. The moment my fingers made contact, the world exploded. I wasn't in the Met anymore. I was in Thebes. 1336 BCE. I was wearing white linen robes. I was 23 years old. My name was Nefertari, and I was dying. The memory hit me like a physical blow. I saw everything, felt everything. I was in my chambers in the palace. My brother Khenti was there. He was 19, 4 years younger than me. I'd raised him after our mother died. Protected him, loved him more than anyone. He was holding a cup, offering it to me. Sister, drink. You've been working too hard in the temple. This will help you rest. I should have known. I'd been feeling weak for weeks. Dizzy, nauseous. But I trusted him. I was training him to be my advisor when I became pharaoh. I was going to make him the most powerful prince in Egypt. Give him everything except the throne, because that was mine by birthright as the eldest. I drank. The poison worked slowly. Over 3 months, I deteriorated. The priests said the gods were testing me. The physicians couldn't find the cause. And every day, Khenti brought me medicine that made it worse. I figured it out too late. The day before I died, I saw him. Really saw him. The hunger in his eyes when he looked at my crown. The way he smiled when he thought I wasn't watching. The meetings he'd been having with the high priest. My enemy, the one man who didn't want a woman on the throne. I confronted him that night. You're poisoning me. He didn't deny it. I'm sorry, sister. But Egypt needs a strong pharaoh. Not a priestess playing at power. I am the rightful heir. You're a woman. The priests will never accept you. The army will never follow you. I'm doing what's necessary. For Egypt. For yourself, you mean. Does it matter? You'll die. I'll rule. Egypt will be strong. That's all that matters. You'll never get away with this. The gods see everything. He actually laughed. The gods? Sister, you're the high priestess of Isis. If the gods cared, they would save you. But they won't. Because I've already won. I died the next day. But I didn't die quietly. As they prepared my body for burial, I was still conscious. The poison had paralyzed me but not killed me yet. I could feel everything. The priests washing my body. The embalmers removing my organs. The linen wrapping tighter and tighter around my face. And I could hear Khenti giving orders outside the chamber. Erase her name from the records. She died of illness. She was never in line for the throne. I am the rightful heir. The gods have chosen me. That's when I summoned every ounce of power I'd ever learned as a priestess. Every secret ritual, every forbidden spell. I couldn't speak, my mouth was sealed with resin. But I could think, and thoughts, when powered by rage and betrayal and the last desperate act of a dying priestess? Those have power. I cursed him, not with words, with will, with 3,000 years of priestess lineage running through my blood, with the fury of Isis herself, goddess of magic, of revenge, of protection for the wronged. The curse was simple. You will never keep what you steal. In every life, what you take by betrayal will destroy you. You will know loss as I have known loss. You will die as I have died, aware, conscious, unable to stop it. Again and again and again. Until you understand what you have done. Then they sealed my tomb. And I died in darkness, alone, with my curse echoing in the void between death and whatever comes after. I came back to myself in the med basement, collapsed on the floor, the Ushabti shattered beside me. Security found me 20 minutes later. I told them I'd fainted. Low blood sugar. They believed me, but I knew the truth. I hadn't fainted. I'd remembered every single moment of being Nefertari. And more than that, I'd remembered the curse. And I knew, with absolute certainty, that it had worked. I started researching obsessively, stayed late at the museum every night, cross-referenced Egyptian records with my memories, found the gaps, the places where Nefertari's name should have been but wasn't, the tomb that was never found, the princess who vanished from history. Khenti had been thorough. He ruled for 43 years as pharaoh. Long, prosperous reign, built monuments, won battles, died beloved by his people. No one ever knew he murdered his sister to get there. But that's where the history books ended. What they didn't record, what happened to him after death. Because I remembered something else from my time dying in that tomb. Visions, flashes of other lives, other times. I saw Khenti's soul reincarnating over and over. And in every single life, the curse followed him. The visions came in waves, each one more detailed than the last. I saw Khenti's soul across the centuries, and each lifetime followed the same terrible pattern. Rome, 200 CE. He was Senator Gaius Marcellus. Ambitious, brilliant. He had a mentor, an older senator who'd taken him under his wing, taught him everything about politics and power. The mentor was planning to retire and endorse Gaius as his successor. A clean, honorable path to power. But Gaius couldn't wait. He fabricated evidence that his mentor was embezzling from the treasury, presented it to the Senate, destroyed the old man's reputation, took his position. For 3 years, he thrived. Power, influence, respect. Then the mentor's family discovered the truth. They were patient, methodical. They poisoned Gaius slowly over 6 months, the same timeline he'd used on me. Same symptoms, same slow degradation. And the whole time, Gaius knew exactly what was happening and who was doing it, knew he couldn't prove it, knew he couldn't stop it. He died conscious, aware, understanding perfectly that this was justice for what he'd done. China, 823 CE. He was Lu Wei, a silk merchant in Chang'an. He had an older brother, Lu Chen, who owned the family business. Lu Chen was kind, trusting. He made Lu Wei his partner, taught him the trade secrets, introduced him to all the important contacts. Lu Wei repaid him by forging documents showing the brother had secret debts. Convinced their father that Lu Chen was going to bankrupt the family. Got the brother disowned, took over the business himself. For 5 years, he was successful. Expanded the business, made fortune, built a reputation as a shrewd businessman. Then the Silk Road routes shifted. His main supplier betrayed him, sold him worthless knockoffs while telling competitors about his tactics. His biggest client discovered the truth about how Liu Wei had stolen the business and blacklisted him. Within a year, everything collapsed. Liu Wei lost the business, his wealth, his home. His wife left him. His children disowned him. He died alone in the streets of Chang'an, begging for rice, fully aware that every person who walked past him knew what he'd done and felt he deserved it. The pattern was meticulous. The curse didn't just punish, it mirrored. Whatever he did to gain power, happened to him in exact proportion. Spain, 1521. He was Rodrigo Mendoza, a conquistador under Hernán Cortés. He served with his commander, Capitán Diego Velázquez, a brutal man, but fair to his soldiers. Diego discovered a cache of Aztec gold in a hidden temple, planned to report it to Cortés, share it with the men. Rodrigo killed him, made it look like natives had done it, claimed he'd found the gold himself, claimed he'd avenged Diego's death by slaughtering the village that killed him. Cortés promoted him, made him rich, made him a hero. For 2 years, Rodrigo lived well. Then the natives he'd framed discovered the truth. They captured him during a raid. They didn't kill him quickly. They took him to the mine shaft where he'd forced their people to work as slaves. They buried him in it. Alive, conscious, in the dark, just like he'd buried me in my tomb. He died slowly, over days, trapped underground, fully aware that this was the consequence of his betrayal. England, 1665. He was Thomas Ashford, a physician during the Great Plague. He worked under Dr. William Harrington, a brilliant doctor who developed early theories about disease transmission. Dr. Harrington was on the verge of a breakthrough, something that could have saved thousands. Thomas stole his research, published it under his own name. When Dr. Harrington confronted him, Thomas accused him of incompetence and had him barred from practicing medicine. For 6 months, Thomas was celebrated. The doctor who understood the plague. The man who could save London. Then he caught it, the plague, and because he'd stolen the research instead of truly understanding it, he had no idea how to save himself. He died in quarantine, covered in buboes, fully conscious that his theft of knowledge had killed him. Revolutionary France, 1794. He was Jean-Baptiste Moreau, a revolutionary. He worked alongside his best friend, Philippe Duchamp, to bring down the aristocracy. They were brothers in arms. Fought together, bled together, believed in liberty, equality, fraternity. Then the reign of terror began. Jean-Baptiste saw an opportunity. He denounced Philippe as a royalist sympathizer. Completely false. But in the paranoia of the terror, accusations were as good as proof. Philippe went to the guillotine. Jean-Baptiste took his position in the revolutionary government. For 8 months, he had power. Then the tides turned. Someone who knew the truth denounced Jean-Baptiste, used his own tactics against him. He was arrested, tried, sentenced. He died under the guillotine blade, looking up at it, fully understanding that this was the exact fate he'd condemned his innocent friend to. World War I, 1916. He was Lieutenant James Hartford, British Army. He served under Captain Edward Morrison, a good man, a fair commander. They were in the trenches at the Somme. Edward had a plan for an assault that could save hundreds of lives, a flanking maneuver instead of a direct charge. James altered the orders, made it look like Edward had ordered the suicidal direct charge instead. Thousands of men died. Edward was court-martialed for incompetence and negligence. James was promoted to captain. Given Edward's command. For 1 year, he led. Then his men discovered what he'd done. They didn't report him. They just stopped protecting him. In the next battle, they accidentally left his flank exposed. He was hit by artillery fire. Lost both legs. Died slowly in a field hospital, gangrene setting in, fully conscious that his own men had done this to him and why. And here's what terrified me as I watched these visions. In every life, right before the consequences hit, Khenti would have a moment of awareness. A flash of memory. He'd remember me, remember the poison, remember the curse, and then he'd think, no, this time is different. This time I'll get away with it. But he never did. The curse was perfect, unbreakable. It followed his soul through every rebirth, waited for him to repeat the pattern, then struck with mathematical precision. For 3,000 years, he'd been caught in a loop. Betrayal, success, loss, death, rebirth, repeat. And I'd been watching, sometimes consciously, sometimes not. But some part of me, some eternal fragment of Nefertari, had been tracking him, ensuring the curse did its work, feeding on the satisfaction of his suffering. Until now, the curse was working. For 3,000 years, it had been working. And then I had another vision. A current one. Present day. Khenti's soul was here, in New York, right now. I didn't know who he was yet. But I knew he was close. The curse was pulling me toward him like a lodestone. I could feel it. I started having dreams. Not memories, predictions. I saw a man, early 30s, successful, charming. And I saw him betraying someone close to him. Saw him taking what wasn't his. Saw the curse preparing to strike again. And I felt it, the dark satisfaction, the 3,000-year-old rage in my chest saying, good. Let him suffer, let him pay. But there was something else too. Something that terrified me more than the curse. In my dreams, the person he betrayed? The one who would suffer when the curse destroyed him. She looked exactly like my best friend, Sarah. Sarah Chen. My college roommate turned colleague turned sister in every way that matters. She's 34, brilliant, a conservator at the Met. She's the one person who knows everything about me. The one person I trust completely. And in my dreams, she was crying. Begging someone named Marcus not to do something. And Marcus was doing it anyway. Taking credit for her discovery. Stealing her career breakthrough. Betraying her trust. Marcus. I didn't know anyone named Marcus. Then Sarah introduced us, and everything changed. Amara, this is Marcus Webb. He's the new acquisitions director for the Egyptian wing. Oxford educated, 5 years at the British Museum, just published a groundbreaking paper on New Kingdom burial practices. Marcus, this is Dr. Amara Nabil, our senior Egyptologist and the reason our Egyptian collection is world-class. You two are going to be working together a lot. The moment our hands touched, I felt it. Like touching a live wire. Like being struck by lightning. Every vision I'd had of Khenti across the centuries crashed into me at once. I saw his face overlaid on Marcus's, 19-year-old prince, Roman senator, Chinese merchant, all of them staring at me through Marcus's dark eyes. And I saw something else. A shadow. A darkness that clung to him like smoke. The curse, still active, still waiting for him to repeat the pattern one more time. Dr. Nabil, I've read your work. The paper on feminine religious power in the New Kingdom? Brilliant. I'm honored to be working with you. His voice was smooth, charming, educated, British accent with just enough warmth to seem genuine. Everything about him screamed, trustworthy professional. But I could see past it. Could see the hunger underneath. The same hunger Khenti had when he looked at my crown. The same hunger that had driven him to murder for 3,000 years. Welcome to the Met, I managed. I look forward to collaborating. He smiled, as do I. Then he turned to Sarah, and I watched his expression shift. Watched him assess her, young, brilliant, trusting, vulnerable, perfect victim. No, I couldn't let this happen. Not to Sarah, but what could I do? Tell her my new colleague was the reincarnation of my ancient murderer and a 3,000-year-old curse was about to destroy both of them? She'd think I'd lost my mind. So I watched. And I waited, and I tried to find proof that Marcus was going to betray her before the curse could strike. The first month, he was perfect. Professional, friendly, no red flags. He and Sarah worked on a joint project cataloging a new acquisition of amulets from the late period. They had coffee together, discussed hieroglyphics, found they had similar taste in music and obscure academic podcasts. He's really nice, Sarah told me one day. Easy to talk to, and he actually listens, you know? Most men in this field talk over you. But Marcus asks questions, wants to know what I think. That's good, I said, watching him through the glass partition. He was at his desk, studying a papyrus, looking every bit the dedicated scholar. But I'd seen this before. In the visions, Khenti was always charming at first. Always patient. He'd build trust carefully, methodically, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. The second month, they started having dinners. Not dates. Just colleagues getting food after work, Sarah insisted. But I saw the way she smiled when he texted. Saw the way she dressed more carefully on days they were meeting. She was falling for him. And he seemed to be falling for her too. That's what confused me. In all my visions of Khenti's past lives, he'd never genuinely cared about his victims. They were always just obstacles or opportunities. People to use and discard. But with Sarah, I saw moments that seemed real. Saw him laugh at her jokes with genuine delight. Saw him bring her coffee exactly how she liked it without being asked. Saw him defend her ideas in meetings when others dismissed them. Was it possible? Could he actually be different this time? Could a soul change after 3,000 years of punishment? Or was this just a more sophisticated betrayal? I couldn't tell, and that uncertainty was torture. The third month, Sarah came to me nervous and excited. Amara, I need to tell you something. And I need you to not judge me. I would never judge you. Marcus asked me out, officially, a real date, and I said yes. My stomach dropped. Sarah, I know what you're going to say. Office romance is complicated. Power dynamics are tricky. But he's not my supervisor. We're colleagues. And honestly, I really like him. I haven't felt this way about anyone in years. There's something off about him. I can't explain it, but you're being protective. Which I love about you. But Amara, you do this with everyone I date. Remember David? You were convinced he was hiding something. Turned out he was planning a surprise party for me. This is different. How? How could I explain? How could I tell her that the man she was falling for had murdered me in a past life and was cosmically doomed to betray her? Just promise me you'll be careful. Don't trust him with anything important until you're absolutely sure about him. She hugged me. I promise. And thank you for worrying about me. But I really think Marcus might be one of the good ones. I wanted to believe her. Wanted to think that maybe, just maybe, Khenti's soul had learned. That 3,000 years of consequences had finally broken through whatever darkness drove him to betray. But then I started having new dreams. Not visions of the past. Visions of the future. Or possible futures. I saw Sarah in her office, crying. Saw Marcus in a boardroom, presenting research. Her research. Saw the moment she realized what he'd done. Saw her face crumble. Saw him refuse to make eye contact. I saw the curse activate. Saw the shadow around Marcus turn into chains. Saw everything he'd built start to collapse. And I saw Sarah caught in the collapse. Her career destroyed. Her reputation ruined. Her trust in people shattered. The curse didn't care about collateral damage. It only cared about making Khenti pay. I had to stop this. Had to prevent the betrayal before it happened. But I didn't know how. That's when I decided to confront Khenti directly. Not Marcus. Khenti. I started researching past life regression techniques. Meditation practices. Anything that might let me trigger his memories. Because if he could remember, really remember, what he'd been and what he'd done, maybe he'd make a different choice. I invited Marcus to coffee. Professional. Casual. Want to discuss the new Ptolemaic period artifacts? He said yes immediately. Charming as always. We met at a cafe near the museum. Small talk first. Work stuff. Egyptian history. Common ground. Then I steered the conversation. Do you believe in past lives? He laughed. Random question. Occupational hazard. We spend all day with people who believed they'd live forever. Makes you wonder if they were right. Intellectually, it's fascinating. The Egyptian concept of the Ka, the Ba, the idea that consciousness persists after death. But do I personally believe it? I'm a scientist. I need evidence. What if you had evidence? Like what? Like memories you can't explain. Knowledge you shouldn't have. Fears that don't make sense in your current life. He was quiet for a moment. Stirring his coffee. Actually, I do have this recurring nightmare. Had it since I was a kid. Tell me, I'm being wrapped in cloth. Linen, I think. And I can't move, can't speak, but I'm conscious, aware, and someone is giving orders to erase my name. To make sure I'm forgotten. And I feel guilty. Like I deserve it, like I did something terrible and this is my punishment. My breath stopped. He was dreaming about my death. About what he'd done to me. Has it gotten worse lately? I asked carefully. Actually, yes. Since I started working at the Met. Since I started working with. He stopped, looked at me. With you. It's like being around Egyptian artifacts triggers something. Makes the dream more vivid. More real. Marcus, what if it's not a dream? What if it's a memory? That's impossible, is it? We study a civilization that believed in eternal souls. What if they knew something we don't? He laughed again, but it sounded nervous. Are you saying I was Egyptian in a past life? I'm saying maybe you should be open to the possibility that the guilt you feel in that dream is real. That you did something terrible. And that you're being given a chance to make different choices this time. This is absurd. I'm a scientist. I deal in facts, not mystical nonsense. Then explain the dream. Explain why you have detailed knowledge of Egyptian burial practices that you shouldn't have. Explain why you chose this field in the first place when there's no logical reason for a kid from London to become obsessed with ancient Egypt. He stood up. I think this conversation is over. Marcus, wait, Dr. Nabil, I respect you enormously as a colleague. But this new age past life stuff? I'm not interested. If you want to discuss actual work, I'm available. But this? No thank you. He left. And I sat there knowing I'd pushed too hard. Revealed too much. Now he'd be defensive, suspicious, less likely to listen if I tried to warn him again. I'd made a mistake, but I wasn't giving up. Because a week later, something happened that proved the curse was real and active and about to strike. Sarah came to my apartment at midnight. Crying. Devastated. Amara, I need your help. What happened? I found something. In the new papyrus collection. Evidence of a lost tomb. A major one. Royal. Could be the biggest discovery in decades. That's incredible, Sarah. It is. And I've been working on it for 3 months. Verifying translations. Cross-referencing with known sites. It's solid. It's real. And I was going to present it to the board next week. She handed me her phone. Showed me messages from Marcus. Flirty. Sweet. Asking about her research. Encouraging her to share everything with him. You can trust me, one message read. I want to help you succeed. I told him everything, Sarah said. Showed him all my research. He seemed so supportive, so excited for me. Sarah, what happened? I just found out he requested a meeting with the board. Tomorrow. Same topic I was going to present. He's going to present my discovery as his own. The curse was activating. Right on schedule. 3,000 years of pattern repetition, about to destroy my best friend. I had less than 12 hours to stop it. Sarah, listen to me. You need to go to the board tonight. Right now. Get ahead of this. It's midnight. They're not going to. Then document everything. Email timestamps showing when you did the work. Colleagues who can verify you told them about it first. Build your case. But Marcus and I have been. We've been getting close. I thought he cared about me. Why would he do this? Because it's what he always does, I wanted to say. Because for 3,000 years, he's been choosing betrayal over honor. Because a curse makes sure he never learns. But I couldn't say that. So instead, because some people don't change. No matter how much we want them to. She left to gather evidence. And I sat alone, feeling the weight of 3 millennia pressing down on me. I could let this happen. Let the curse run its course. Watch Marcus betray Sarah. Watch the consequences destroy him. Finally get the revenge I'd been owed since 1336 BCE. Or I could try to stop it. Try to break a curse I didn't even know could be broken. I chose to try. Not for Khenti. Not for Marcus. For Sarah. For me. For the chance that maybe, just maybe, I could be something other than a vengeful ghost wrapped in modern skin. The next morning, I got to the museum at dawn. Went straight to Marcus's office. He was already there, rehearsing his presentation. Sarah's presentation. We need to talk. He looked up, annoyed. I'm busy. I know what you're going to do. And I'm giving you one chance, one single chance, to make a different choice. I don't know what you're. I pulled out the Ushabti. Set it on his desk. 3,000 years ago, you were my brother. Khenti. You poisoned me to steal my throne. With my dying breath, I cursed you. That curse has followed you through every lifetime. Every single time you betray someone, you lose everything. The pattern has repeated for 3 millennia. And if you betray Sarah today, it will happen again. He stared at the figurine, at the hieroglyphs, at my name and his, carved together in stone 3,000 years ago. This is insane. Then explain the nightmares. Explain the guilt. Explain why you're about to destroy your relationship with Sarah to steal credit for her work when you know deep down, that it's wrong. His hands were shaking. I don't understand what's happening. You're remembering. Finally, after 3,000 years, you're starting to remember what you are. What you've always been. But Marcus, Khenti, brother, you can choose differently this time. You can break the pattern. You can be someone new. And if I don't, then you'll get exactly what you've always gotten. Success that tastes like ashes. Power that destroys you. And you'll lose Sarah. And this time, when the curse destroys you, you'll be fully aware that it's happening. You'll remember every past life, every betrayal, every consequence. And you'll know it's your own fault. I walked out, left him alone with the choice. And I waited to see which brother would win. The one who chose power. Or the one who might, finally, choose honor. That night, I did something I'd never done before. I went to the museum alone. Down to the Egyptian wing. Stood in front of the statue of Isis, my goddess, my patron, the one I'd served as priestess. I prayed, not like a scholar, like a priestess, lady of magic. I don't know what to do. I've carried this rage for 3,000 years. He deserves to suffer. But Sarah doesn't, and if I let this happen, I'm no better than him. I become the person who hurts innocent people for revenge. Please, show me what to do. The statue didn't answer. Of course it didn't, but something did. A memory surfaced, not from my death, from before, when I was training as a priestess. My mentor's words. The greatest magic isn't in curses, Nefertari. It's in breaking them. Any fool can destroy, but to heal, to forgive, to transmute hatred into wisdom? That's true power. That's what separates priestesses from sorcerers. I'd forgotten that. In my rage and betrayal and 3,000 years of watching Khenti suffer, I'd forgotten what I actually was. Who I'd been before he poisoned me. I wasn't a vengeful ghost. I was a priestess, a healer, a servant of Isis, goddess of magic, yes, but also goddess of resurrection. Of bringing the dead back to life. Of making things whole again. The curse had to end. Not because Khenti deserved forgiveness. But because I deserved peace. I made my decision. The next morning, I went to the board meeting early. Found Marcus setting up his presentation, Sarah's presentation. Watched him rehearsing her words, her discoveries, preparing to claim them as his own. The old me, Nefertari, the dying princess, wanted to let it happen. Wanted to watch him fall. But I wasn't just Nefertari anymore. I was Amara too, and Amara loved Sarah more than she hated Khenti. Marcus, he jumped. Amara, you're here early. I know what you're about to do. His face went carefully neutral. I don't know what you mean. You're going to present Sarah's research as your own. Claim credit for her discovery. Betray her trust. That's a serious accusation. I'm not accusing. I'm telling you I know. And I'm giving you one chance. One single chance to make a different choice than you've made in every other lifetime. Every other lifetime? What are you talking about? I pulled out the photograph. The Ushabti I'd found. The one with Nefertari's name. I'd pieced it back together. Spent weeks on it, and I'd discovered something the first time I'd missed. There was another name on it. Carved on the bottom. Hidden. Khenti. 3,000 years ago, you were my brother. You poisoned me to steal the throne that was mine by birthright. And with my dying breath, I cursed you. That curse has followed you through every life you've ever lived. Every time you betray someone, you lose everything. Every time you take what isn't yours, it destroys you. The pattern has repeated for 3 millennia. He stared at me like I was insane. You need help, maybe, but answer me this. How many times have you been on the verge of success, only to have it collapse? How many times has betrayal seemed like the smart move, only to backfire catastrophically? How many times have you wondered why you can't seem to keep anything good in your life? His face changed. Just slightly. How did you? Because I've been watching. For 3,000 years, I've watched you suffer the consequences of murdering me. And I'm done. Not because you deserve forgiveness, but because I deserve peace. And Sarah deserves to not be collateral damage in our ancient war. This is crazy. It is. But you feel it, don't you? The pull toward betrayal. The voice in your head saying, take credit, she'll never know, this could make your career. You feel it because it's the pattern. It's what you always do. And if you do it today, the curse will destroy you. Again. And this time, it'll destroy Sarah too. I don't believe in curses. You don't have to believe. You just have to choose differently. For once in 3,000 years, choose honor over ambition. Choose truth over theft. Break the pattern. He looked at the presentation. At Sarah's name on the research. At the choice in front of him. And if I don't, then you'll get exactly what you've always gotten. Temporary success followed by catastrophic loss. It's up to you. I walked out, went to my office, waited. 30 minutes later, the board meeting started. I wasn't invited. I was too junior. But Sarah came to find me after. She was glowing. Amara, you won't believe what just happened. Tell me. Marcus gave me credit, in front of the entire board. He said I'd done all the research and he was just supporting my work and the board approved my expedition and I'm leading the dig and, she grabbed my hands. I'm going to Egypt. I'm actually going to Egypt to excavate a tomb. That's incredible, Sarah. I know. And Marcus was so generous. He could have taken credit. He helped a lot, but he made sure everyone knew it was my discovery. I was wrong about him, Amara. He's actually a really good guy. After she left, I sat alone in my office, feeling the curse shift. Not break, not disappear, but change. The rage that had burned for 3,000 years dimmed. Just a little, just enough. That night, I had another dream. I was in my tomb again. But this time, I wasn't alone. Khenti was there, not as Marcus, as himself. Young, 19, confused. Sister? Brother? Where are we? Between lives. Between choices. You broke the pattern today. I don't understand what's happening. I keep having these dreams. These memories of people I've hurt. Things I've done. Lives I've ruined, but I don't remember doing any of it. You don't remember because you've never been conscious of the pattern before. You just repeated it, but today, you chose differently. You gave credit instead of taking it. You chose honor, because of what you said. About the curse. He looked at me. Really looked at me, and I saw a recognition dawn. Oh gods. Nefertari, I killed you. Yes, I'm so sorry. I was young and stupid and I wanted power and I thought I was doing the right thing. For Egypt, but really I was just scared. Scared of being nothing, of being forgotten, of not mattering. I know, you cursed me. I did. I've been suffering for 3,000 years because of that curse. Yes. Do I deserve forgiveness? I thought about that, really thought about it. I don't know, but I know I deserve peace. And holding this rage for 3 millennia hasn't given me that. It's just made me into something I don't want to be. Can you break it? The curse? I can try, but you have to understand something. If I break it, you're not free of consequences. You're free of the pattern. Free to make real choices. But that means you're also responsible for those choices in a way you've never been before. No curse to blame. Just you and your decisions. I'll take that over this. Please. I reached out, touched his hand, felt the connection between us, siblings, enemies, eternal mirrors. And I spoke the words. Not the curse. The opposite. By the power of Isis, Lady of Magic, Lady of Resurrection, Lady of Making Things Whole, I release you. Not because you deserve it, but because I choose peace over vengeance. I choose healing over hatred. I break the pattern. I break the curse. I set us both free. The dream shattered. I woke up in my apartment, tears streaming down my face, feeling lighter than I had in 3,000 years. The next day at work, Marcus stopped by my office. Can we talk? Of course. He closed the door, sat down, looked exhausted. I had the strangest dream last night. About ancient Egypt. About a princess and her brother. About poison and betrayal and a curse that lasted 3,000 years. It wasn't a dream, I know. I mean, rationally, it should be impossible. But I remember it, all of it, every life, every betrayal, every consequence. It's like the dream woke up something that's been sleeping in me forever. What are you going to do with that knowledge? I don't know. I feel like I've been given this incredible, terrible gift. I remember being a monster. Over and over. But I also remember you breaking the curse. Giving me a chance I didn't earn and definitely didn't deserve. What I did for me. Not for you. I know. But I'm still grateful. And I want you to know, I'm going to be different this time. Not because of the curse. Because I choose to be. I'm going to prove that your mercy wasn't wasted. Marcus, Khenti, whoever you are now. You don't owe me proof. You owe yourself a life that isn't defined by ancient patterns. Live well. That's all. He nodded, left, and I haven't told him the whole truth, that sometimes I still feel the rage. Still want revenge. Still wake up feeling the linen wrapping around my face, hearing him give the order to erase my name. But I also wake up feeling free. And that's new. That's something Nefertari never had. 6 months later, Sarah came back from Egypt. Her excavation was a massive success. Found the tomb. Made international news. She's famous now. Getting job offers from museums around the world. And Marcus? He's still at the Met. Still working hard. Still making choices. Some good, some questionable. He's human. He's flawed. But he hasn't betrayed anyone. Not once. The pattern is broken. As for me, I'm still an Egyptologist. Still obsessed with the past. But now I understand why. I'm not just studying history. I'm healing it. Every artifact I restore, every tomb I help preserve, every piece of ancient Egypt I bring into the light, I'm undoing the erasure. I'm remembering the forgotten. I'm making sure that people like Nefertari, whose names were stolen, are remembered again. And sometimes, late at night in the museum, I stand in front of Isis's statue and I feel her presence. Really feel it, and I know, she's proud of me. Not for the curse, for breaking it, not for the revenge, for choosing peace. My name is Amara Nabil. I was Princess Nefertari, High Priestess of Isis, rightful heir to the throne of Egypt. My brother murdered me and stole my crown. For 3,000 years, I made him pay. And then, finally, I let him go. Some debts last lifetimes. Some curses echo through millennia. Some rage burns for 3,000 years. But some magic, the truest magic, is knowing when to stop. I am a priestess of Isis. Lady of magic. Lady of resurrection. Lady of making things whole. And I chose to make myself whole. The curse is broken. The pattern is ended. The rage is released. And for the first time in 3,000 years, I am free. If you're watching this and you're carrying ancient rage from this life or another, take it from someone who carried hers for 3 millennia. Revenge is a comfortable prison. It feels like justice. It feels like you're doing something righteous. But it's still a prison. And you're still in it. The greatest power isn't in the curse. It's in breaking it. It's in choosing peace when rage would be easier. It's in healing when destruction would feel so much more satisfying. I buried my brother alive with my curse. And then I buried my rage. And I rose, resurrected, made whole. That's the real magic. Not the curses you cast, but the ones you break. My name is Amara Nabil. I was Nefertari, and I am finally free. How she'd gone home after our first meeting and cried without knowing why. I want to try regression, she said. I need to know if I'm crazy or if this is real. 3 weeks later, we sat in Dr. Chen's office together. Dr. Chen was fascinated but cautious. This is highly unusual, she said. Joint regression. Shared past lives. It's theoretically possible but rare. If you're both willing, we can try. See if your memories align. They did. Perfectly. Horrifyingly perfectly. Under hypnosis, Elena remembered being on her father's ship. Remembered the day pirates attacked. Remembered the young captain who should have killed her but didn't. Remembered hating him, then not hating him, then loving him so completely that drowning seemed preferable to living without him. She remembered jumping. I thought he would come with me, she said in trance, tears streaming down her face. I thought we'd go down together. But they held him back. I died alone. But I wasn't afraid, because I knew I'd find him again. The ocean would bring us back together. When we both came out of the trance, we were holding hands so tightly our knuckles were white. Dr. Chen was quiet for a long time. I've been doing this for 20 years, she finally said. I've never seen anything like this. Your memories align perfectly. Details that aren't in any historical record. Conversations no one else would know. This is either the most elaborate shared delusion I've ever witnessed, or you two really did know each other before. I'm not Isabella, Elena said. I can't be. I'm me. I have my own life, my own memories, my own personality. But I remember being her too. How is that possible? Dr. Chen started talking about consciousness, about how some theories suggest souls can split or echo across family lines, about genetic memory and epigenetics. I didn't care about the theory. I cared that I'd found her. However it worked. However it was possible. She was here. Maybe not the same woman. Maybe not even the same soul. But the same love, the same recognition, the same pull that had defined both our lives. We started seeing each other. Dating felt like the wrong word. It was deeper than that. Older. Like coming home after a very long journey. 6 months in, we were lying in bed in her apartment. She'd been quiet all evening. Finally, she spoke. I need to ask you something, and I need you to be honest. Anything. Do you love me, Elena me? Or are you in love with who I used to be? I'd been dreading this question. Knew it was coming eventually. Both, I said honestly. I can't separate them. You carry her in your blood, in your mannerisms, in the way you look at the ocean. But you're also yourself. Your own person with your own life. And I love that woman too. The lawyer who fights for the environment. The woman who makes terrible jokes about maritime law. The one who ugly cries at nature documentaries. That's you, not Isabella. You. But if I wasn't her descendant, if I was just some random woman, would you love me? I don't know. Because you're not a random woman. You're you. And part of being you is carrying her memory in your genes. I can't love you minus that any more than I can love you minus your sense of humor or your passion for ocean conservation. It's all part of who you are. She was quiet. Then. Good answer. We got married a year later. Small ceremony on a boat in Boston Harbor. Dr. Chen was there. A few close friends. Elena's family, who thought the whole past life thing was either beautiful or insane depending on who you asked. During the ceremony, Elena insisted on adding something non-traditional. We dropped flowers in the water. Roses and gardenias, which she said were Isabella's favorite. For the life we lost, Elena said. And for the one we found. In this life and whatever comes after, I replied. The same words Isabella had said before she jumped. Elena smiled through tears. You remembered. I'll never forget. We run an environmental law firm now. Chen and Blackwood. We take cases other firms won't touch. Sue polluters. Defend ocean sanctuaries. Fight for marine protection laws. It feels right. Like we're protecting the thing that brought us together. The thing that took Isabella away and gave her back in a different form. I still have the dreams sometimes. But they're different now. Not nightmares. Just memories. I see Nathaniel and Isabella on that ship under Caribbean stars. I see them happy. And then I wake up next to Elena, and I see us happy now. Sometimes Elena dreams too. She'll wake up speaking Spanish phrases she swears she doesn't know. She'll describe places in the Caribbean she's never been to. Once, she drew a detailed map of Port Royal before the earthquake destroyed it in 1692, complete with buildings and street names, and it matched historical records perfectly. Do you think we'll find each other again? She asked me once. After this life? I found you across 300 years in an ocean. I'll find you across anything. She kissed me. Good. Because I'm not done with you yet. Last year, we scattered Isabella's DNA into the ocean. We'd done ancestry testing, traced her genetic markers, confirmed what we already knew. Elena carried Isabella's blood. It felt like closing a circle. Returning her to the water she'd chosen. We scattered Nathaniel too. I'd sent my own DNA to researchers studying genetic memory in trauma survivors. They'd been fascinated by my case. The way drowning in Boston Harbor had triggered complete past life recall. The way the ocean had given back what it had taken. The ocean remembers everything. I know that now. It remembers the ships it swallowed, the lives it's taken, the lovers it separated, and sometimes, rarely, impossibly, it gives them back. Not the same way, not in the same form, but the same love, the same souls, the same chance to get it right. I drowned her 300 years ago. Not with my hands, but by not being fast enough. Not fighting hard enough. Not saving her, but she saved herself. She chose freedom over capture. Chose death over compromise. Chose the ocean over a life that wasn't hers. And then she came back. Through her family line. Through genetic echoes. Through whatever force in the universe makes sure that love this deep doesn't just disappear. My name is James Blackwood. I was Nathaniel Drake. I'm a maritime lawyer and I was a pirate. I lost the love of my life to the ocean 300 years ago. And the ocean gave her back. Not the same woman, but the same love, not the same life, but the same soul, not the same story, but the same ending. Together, finally, forever. Some debts take 3 lifetimes to pay. Some loves take centuries to get right. Some souls are tied together so tightly that death is just an intermission, not an ending. If you're watching this and you've lost someone, take comfort. Love doesn't end. It echoes. Through time, through blood, through water, through whatever force makes consciousness persist beyond death. It finds a way back. I found her. Against all odds, across all time, through all the ways the universe could have kept us apart. I found her. And this time, I'm not letting go. But not the honorable death of sacrifice. I was to be imprisoned until they decided my ultimate fate. A traitor priest was unprecedented. They needed time to determine the proper ritual. I was placed in a small cell beneath the temple. Days passed. I was given minimal food and water. But I didn't despair, because I knew Xochitl had escaped. I had given her that. And somehow, that made everything worthwhile. Then the Spanish arrived. I heard the commotion from my cell, shouting, the thunder of their weapons, the screams of the dying. Hernán Cortés and his conquistadors had entered Tenochtitlan. Emperor Moctezuma tried to greet them peacefully, believing they might be gods or emissaries of Quetzalcoatl. He was wrong. They were men. Greedy, brutal men who saw our gold and wanted it for themselves. The initial encounter was tense but not violent. The Spanish were housed in the palace. Moctezuma gave them gifts, massive amounts of gold and precious stones. But instead of satisfying them, it only increased their hunger. Weeks turned into months. The situation deteriorated. The Spanish took Moctezuma hostage. They demanded more gold, more tribute. They destroyed our temples, placing crosses on top of our pyramids. They called our religion evil, our gods demons. I was still imprisoned through all of this. The priests had forgotten about me in the chaos. Or perhaps they thought leaving me to starve was punishment enough. But then came the massacre at the Templo Mayor. During a religious festival, while our people danced and celebrated, the Spanish soldiers, led by Pedro de Alvarado while Cortés was away, attacked. They blocked the exits and slaughtered everyone inside. Thousands died. The Spanish later claimed they thought we were preparing for war. The truth? They wanted to seize control through terror. This was the breaking point. The entire city rose up in rage. La Noche Triste, the night of sorrows, as the Spanish would later call it. We drove them out of Tenochtitlan, killing many of them as they tried to flee across the causeways. But we knew they would return. And they did, months later, with more men, more weapons, and a devastating ally: smallpox. The disease swept through our city like fire through dry grass. People died by the thousands. Entire families wiped out in days. The streets filled with corpses. Our healers were helpless against this invisible enemy. During this chaos, someone finally remembered me. A young priest, barely more than a boy, opened my cell. Everyone is needed to defend the city, he said. Even traitors. I emerged into a nightmare. The beautiful city I had known was dying. The canals ran red with blood and disease. The Great Pyramids were pockmarked from Spanish cannons. Bodies lay everywhere, rotting in the heat. I helped where I could. I carried water to the fighters. I tended to the sick, even knowing the disease could kill me too. I had already betrayed my priesthood. I might as well serve humanity in more direct ways. The final battle came in August 1521. The Spanish had surrounded the city. We were starving, diseased, exhausted. But we fought. We fought with everything we had. I found myself on the pyramid steps, defending the temple of Huitzilopochtli alongside warriors and common people alike. The Spanish soldiers came in waves, their steel swords cutting through our wooden weapons, their armor deflecting our obsidian blades. I held a spear, something I had never been trained to use. A Spanish soldier came at me, shouting in his foreign tongue. I thrust the spear forward. It caught him in the shoulder, and he screamed. But then his companion was on me, his sword cutting across my chest. I fell backward, blood pouring from the wound. I couldn't breathe. The pain was everywhere. As I lay dying on the temple steps, the same steps where I had once performed sacrifices, I looked up at the sky. Smoke from 1,000 fires obscured the stars I had studied my entire life. My city, my civilization, my entire world was ending. But in that moment, I didn't think about the gods. I didn't think about the empire falling. I thought about Xochitl. I wondered if she had made it to safety. I wondered if she had found happiness. I wondered if somewhere out there, she was thinking of me too. My last thought before the darkness took me was this. Maybe love is the only god that matters. Maybe everything else. The rituals, the sacrifices, the temples and priests and empires, maybe all of that is just noise. Maybe the only truly sacred thing is the way one soul recognizes another across the chaos of existence. Then I died. When I woke up from the regression, I was sobbing. Dr. Reeves handed me tissues and gave me time to collect myself. That was intense, she said quietly. How do you feel? How did I feel? I felt like I had lived an entire lifetime in an hour. I felt grief for a lost world, for lost love, for a civilization that no longer existed. But I also felt something else, understanding. All those dreams, all those inexplicable feelings, they finally made sense. I wasn't crazy, I was remembering. The story doesn't end there, though. 3 months after my regression, something incredible happened. I was at a coffee shop, working on my laptop, when a woman sat down at the table next to mine. She was reading a book about pre-Columbian art. I wouldn't normally approach a stranger, but something compelled me to speak. Interesting book, I said. She looked up, and our eyes met. I know how this sounds. I know it seems like a fantasy or a coincidence too perfect to be real. But in that moment, looking into her eyes, I knew. I recognized her. Not her face, that was different. But something deeper, something that transcended physical appearance. I'm Marcus, I said. Natalie, she replied. Her hand was shaking as she extended it to shake mine. This is going to sound insane, but do I know you from somewhere? Yes, I said. From a long time ago. We talked for 6 hours that day. When I finally, nervously, told her about my past life regression, about Talak and Xochitl, she went pale. I've had dreams, she whispered. My whole life. Dreams about pyramids and a priest with kind eyes and running away in a canoe. I always thought they were just dreams. Natalie went to see Dr. Reeves for her own regression a week later. What she remembered matched my memories almost exactly. She was Xochitl. She had made it back to Tlaxcala. She had lived a long life, married, had children. But she never forgot the priest who saved her. We've been together for 2 years now. We're engaged. Our friends think we have a weirdly intense connection. Our families think we're perfect for each other. Neither of us has told many people about the past life aspect. Most people wouldn't understand, but we know. We found each other again. Across 500 years, across death and rebirth, across the destruction of an entire civilization, we found each other. I still have the dreams sometimes. But they're not nightmares anymore. They're memories. Bittersweet, painful, but ultimately beautiful memories of a life lived with conviction, even if that conviction cost me everything. I've learned something from all of this. Life is longer and stranger than we can possibly imagine. We are more than these individual lifetimes. We are accumulations of experiences, lessons learned across centuries. And love, real love, soul-deep love, is the only thing powerful enough to transcend death itself. The Aztec Empire fell. The temples were destroyed. The gods, if they ever existed, no longer demand blood. But love? Love persists. Love remembers. Love finds a way. If you're watching this and you've had similar experiences, dreams that feel too real, memories that aren't yours, connections with people that defy logical explanation, I want you to know you're not alone. You're not crazy. Maybe you're just remembering. And if you've lost someone in this life, if you're grieving someone you loved, take comfort in this. Death is not the end. It's just a pause, just a transition. The soul continues. Love continues. And somewhere, somehow, we find each other again. I died as Talak on temple steps in a burning city. But I lived again as Marcus. And I found Xochitl again, wearing the name Natalie this time. What are the odds? What force in the universe is powerful enough to bring two souls together across such vast distances of time? I don't have all the answers. I don't know the mechanics of reincarnation or how memories transfer between lives. I don't know if everyone reincarnates or just some of us. I don't know if we always find the people we loved before. But I know this. I was an Aztec priest named Talak. I fell in love with a woman condemned to die. I saved her at the cost of everything I had. I died watching my entire world burn. And somehow, impossibly, wonderfully, I found her again. If that's not proof that love is eternal, I don't know what is. Thank you for listening to my story. If it resonates with you, if you have your own experiences with past lives or inexplicable memories, please share them in the comments. We're all in this together, navigating the mystery of existence. And remember, you are more than this moment, more than this life. You are eternal, you are loved, and you will love again. Subscribe if you want to hear more stories like this. Hit the notification bell, and most importantly, keep an open mind. The universe is far stranger and more beautiful than we've been taught to believe. My name is Marcus Chen. But once, a long time ago, in a city of stone and smoke and sacred fire, my name was Talak. And I loved a woman named Xochitl. That love brought me back. That love found her again. That love gave this story a happy ending, even though the original ending was written in blood 500 years ago. Thank you, and may you find what you're looking for, in this life or the next.